If you're a new developer, you've asked some, if not all of the questions coming up. In this video, I'm going to answer the top 5 most asked questions by new developers. I'm also throwing in a bonus question, so make sure you watch until the end. Hey, Francisco with The Dev Life. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, I'm a self-taught developer with over 10 years of experience. And in this channel, we make videos with the intent for them to become resources for developers like yourself. Okay, let's get to the questions. Just a quick note, I want to make sure that you understand that I didn't put the questions in any particular order. One is not more important than the other. So here we go, let's get to the first one. The first question is, do I need a good laptop? The simple answer is yes, you do need a good laptop, but it doesn't have to be a top-notch computer for you to be able to start learning. As an example, if you want to become a front-end developer, all you need the computer to do is for you to be able to open up a browser and open a text editor so you can write some JavaScript and then test your JavaScript if you want to do that on the browser. Remember that you are learning, and for learning you don't really require very much. One of the reasons why this question is asked is because sometimes new developers, for them it's a way for them to sort of ask for permission for them to start learning, right? They need reassurance that the laptop they have is good enough for them to start learning. So don't wait until you get a brand new laptop for you to start learning. If you have a computer or access to a computer right now, chances are that computer is good enough for you to start learning. The next question is, how smart do I need to be to become a programmer? I think becoming a developer takes more patience and resiliency than smarts. People sometimes underestimate how much time it takes for you to start learning how to code, and it's not so much about how smart you are, it's about how passionate and how much you like programming. So if you like programming or have a passion for it, it's going to be easy for you to find the determination and patience for you to be able to learn how to code. Another question that I get often is, how long does it take? How long does it take for someone to become a programmer? That is a difficult question because everybody has a different lifestyle. For example, if you're asking this as a 15-year-old high school student, you have a lot more time than a 30-year-old with a family. So the time that it's going to take for them or for someone to learn how to code is not necessarily tied to how smart they are, but it's tied to how much time do they have to invest when they want to get started learning how to code. For example, that high school student might have 20 hours a week that he can invest into learning how to code. But someone who is already working a full-time job with a family might only have 3 or 4 hours a week to invest into learning how to code. You know, for the person who has more time to invest into this, the journey to become a developer is going to be shorter. The other factor that you need to put into this is some people are able to pick up things faster than others, right? Maybe that 30-year-old person with a family is able to pick up concepts much faster than the teenager, and therefore their journey might be just as long even though they're investing less time. That is a difficult question to answer, but if you have somebody to mentor you, someone who can tell you the steps that you should take. For example, if you want to become a web developer doing front-end work, you need to focus on certain things, and HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you learn that well, then the next step is you learn a framework, and then you start applying for jobs at entry level. And I think that should be your goal if you want to become a developer, right? To get to where you get hired to work as a developer. If you play everything right, you could potentially get a job as an entry level in 6 months if you invest enough time. All right, so again, the time period of how long it takes for you to become a developer varies from one person to the next depending on their lifestyle. Next question, am I too old to learn how to code? If you're 30, if you're 40, 50, 60, 70, there's a video that I already created when I turned 40 myself, answering this question for other people who were, the same age. So I will put a link down below, but the short answer to that is no, you are not too old. It doesn't matter how old you are. I've heard of people who have become, software developers at 60 or 70. So it's never too late. It is more difficult when you have a family, when you have responsibilities. It's difficult for you to make a switch. And I think the hardest thing there, the uncertainty of it all, right? You might be making good enough money now, But if you start working as a developer, you might have to backtrack a bit, but then the potential is that later on in a few years, you could earn more money than what you are learning now. I think that is the most intimidating part, and that's why people ask this question, right? Am I too late to get into programming? And again, the answer is no, you're not too old, but please check out the video down below and it will give you a little bit more insights on that. Here's another question, and this one happens a lot, and most of the time it comes from new developers, developers who are still trying to decide what to learn or what to get into. What is the best language? There's really no such thing. There are best languages for different scenarios, but the scenario always has to be taken in consideration with choosing the language to solve the problem that you are trying to solve. All the different languages have an optimal situation where they need to be used, and situations or programs where they shouldn't be used. Whenever you are coming up with the answer for this question, it falls back to it depends. What do you want to use the language for? And that will help answer that question. But there is no language that rules them all. Now, if you are a new developer and you are thinking of getting into programming and you're trying to pick a language for you to start with, I would recommend Python, but also keep in mind that if you learn the fundamentals of programming, whatever concepts you learn, you can apply those to different languages. And the reason why I recommend Python for you as your first language is because the syntax is very relaxed compared to other languages. Again, there's no language that's the best for all situations. It all depends on what you need to use it for. And now we get to the bonus question. This is a question that I get asked in social media a few times a week. 3-4 times a week at least. And the question is Mac versus PC. And let me clarify this just for the context of this question or answer that I'm about to give. When I say PC, I mean Windows specifically. I know there are a lot of Linux users out there as well, and I don't want to minimize them. I just want to make sure we understand. I know that they're out there, Linux is so good, just haven't had enough experience with it. But for the purpose of this question, when I say PC, I mean Windows. The answer is somewhat simple, right? If you have the budget, by all means, go get yourself a MacBook Pro with the highest specs that you can afford. If you're on a budget, almost any Windows computer could do the job, especially if you're learning how to code. As you get a job in programming and you start earning a little bit more money, then you should be able to get yourself a new computer if you need it. In most cases, at least in the US, employers will provide a computer for you to do your work on. It could be a desktop computer, but most of the time it will be a laptop good enough for you to be able to do the work that they're asking you to do. I hope this video was helpful, and believe it or not, if you do click on the like button, it does help the channel a lot, so please do so. If you found any value in this video, please subscribe so you get notified when we publish new videos. And don't forget to turn on that bell. Catch you in the next one.